this session here, guys, is designed to answer some questions. The connector program is a pretty interesting program. We've got a lot of content online, but we find, when we talk to people about it, it oftentimes becomes a little bit more tangible. So figured we'd share a little bit more with you guys kind of about the program, how everything works, how Braintrust works, our tokens, answer whatever questions you guys have, and help set you up for a little bit more success as we kind of get going in this. So thanks for joining. I'm going to share my screen, and there we go. So here's kind of our agenda, who we are. So I'm Grady. I live here in Denver, as mentioned. So I'm one of our node owners. I run distributed labs, and then I work on the core team here at Braintrust and work with most of our clients. So we've got a small core team, maybe 30, 35 people, and then we use our community to basically do a lot of different things on our behalf as well, given we're community owned. So think like sales and client facing teams, I'm kind of working in and out with them. So a lot of our enterprise clients require a bunch of effort to help them hire. And that's what we're here for. And then Chris, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I run the connector program. I'm based out of Rhode Island. I do the VIP portion of it. So I connect with individuals like yourself to curate lists for our target companies and individuals at those companies that we want to connect with.
And so you guys might be familiar, and maybe some of you are brand new to Braintrust. Maybe you've been here for a bit. We're a big decentralized talent network, and our whole thing is we wanted to build a marketplace that made it, one, easier for people to find work, because that's usually a pretty tough process. And on the flip side as well, companies trying to access great talent has become sometimes difficult, either having to work through agencies or normal suppliers or a lot of different things that oftentimes sit in the middle. So we want to create Braintrust that made it easier for those two to be able to find each other, right? For you guys to find great work on the talent side, and for companies to easily find the talent that's best for them versus, having to go post stuff on LinkedIn and stuff like that to be able to sift through and find the people they need. The other big thing for us is we wanted to be the first user-owned, is what we're calling it, talent network or marketplace. And what that means for us is like the talent. Like we wanted to have a marketplace that was owned and controlled by the people who use it to make a living. So the way that we've done that is we created a token called BTRST, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And the idea here is to distribute it amongst the participants of the network so that they become owners of the network, much like a co-op. And with that ownership, you kind of get two great things. Like one, you get to participate in the up or down side of the token price, right? So as that goes up or down, those who own it benefit or get to participate. And then on the other side, we want to open up kind of major company decisions to go out to vote with the talent, right? Like we want things to be in the best interest of those who are participating. So if you own tokens, you get a vote in many of the things that we put out to the network, business rules, what type of clients we bring on next, how we do fees, stuff like that. So there's kind of a whole kind of deep dive on that we can do at a different time. But the idea here is we want this thing to be a community run project at the end of the day. That said, our goal is to have a small team and leverage our network. We've got a very large customer base today, and we're growing pretty rapidly as well. So I've got on the screen here some of our big clients. So we've only been around about 4 years. We've done a really great job onboarding a lot of large enterprises, called 150 or so, maybe the Fortune 1000. And then we've got a long tail of customers as well who hire through Braintrust. And what we found is the network is perfect for basically anyone of all sizes, everyone from like Walmart, Fortune 1, down to a startup who's making their first hire, and everybody in between. So what we're looking for and kind of what we have found to work really well here is, in order to keep our fees really low and benefit both sides of the network, we rely on our community to basically help us grow both sides. So this is on the talent side through referrals. So if you refer a friend to Braintrust and they get hired on as one of Braintrust talent members on one of our projects, you actually accrue tokens based on how much they bill. And then what we're talking about today is on the client side, which has been our #1 growth channel as well is our talent community members refer in colleagues and people they've worked with and companies who then go on to hire through Braintrust. And what we like to do, and this is all part of being community owned, is we want to reward people really well for helping us grow both sides of that network. So we've got a program called the Connector program. It's for people like you guys who may have some connections within companies or talent. And we reward those folks with a percentage of what those customers bill. So for the client side, it can be quite lucrative. Where, as an example, so say you refer a mid-sized company in here, maybe they hire 5 or 10 people from Braintrust, which is very common. They're probably going to spend $1 million or so on Braintrust talent through billable dollars, and we pay 2% of that out to the referrer. So that's going to be $20,000 in our token paid to whoever made that referral. And all you're doing is really making an introduction. We go get onboarded with the customer, help them find talent, and then every paycheck that comes through, you guys see the rewards on that. So think of it like a commission plan for those that make the introductions, but you don't have to do all the selling. You're really just making the introduction, and that's how we grow very rapidly. And we've seen a lot of our connectors do very, very well in this program. I'm going to pause kind of at the end here for a bunch of questions, guys. So feel free to pop them into the chat too, and I will try and answer them as we go. So a couple things, and I'm sure there'll be some questions on tokens and stuff. So we do tokens as our form of ownership. Things to note on the tokens here, it's BTRST is the name of the token if you want to go look it up. They're liquid, meaning they're traded on most major exchanges. You can go to Coinbase and buy it or sell it or hold it there. So the idea here is when you're paid out in tokens, you can do whatever you want with them. They're yours, meaning you can cash them out, turn them over into fiat, US dollars, euros, whatever you want. You can turn them into Bitcoin, or you can just sit on them and watch them grow over time. We've got a lot of referrers. So like on the client side, we've got nearly, I think it's a little bit old. I think we're maybe at about 1,000 people who have referred clients to us, which is a lot, right? So we've got a ton of people, and this is our main growth channel. And this is where we could use your guys' help. So like, yes, we've got a good chunk of clients, but there is, tens of thousands, if not millions of customers out there that should be using Braintrust that we could use some introductions to. And I'm sure you guys have lots in your network. Who do we typically target for this? So this is like, as you're thinking about your network and who might be a good fit to refer to Braintrust, it's really any size company, pretty much any industry. So we specialize in IT and tech workers. We also do digital marketing and creatives. And guess what? Like pretty much every company of all sizes are hiring in those categories, at least at some point. We also do freelance, so contractors, as well as like direct placement. So if people are looking for a full-time employee, we can do both of those models. So like anyone that who's at a company of really any size is honestly probably a decent referral for us. And everybody who meets us for the most part is like really excited that they learned about Braintrust because the network is so strong and the fees are so reasonable for them to be able to pick up great talent. Who we're typically targeting, so who do we sell into, who are the normal buyers? Pretty much anyone under like a CIO or so it's chief information officer or a chief technology officer or like a head of marketing type person. So that's going to be, VP director level for engineering, design, product management, IT, and then kind of like digital marketing creatives. Like those are perfect introductions for us because they're usually the ones that have projects to get done and might not have the staff to be able to do them. The ones I'd stay away from, honestly, like it just takes a lot of effort and they don't usually pan out. So it's not worth a ton of your effort. It's kind of like the individual contributors. So if you've got a friend who's like maybe an engineer at a big company, like they might not have that much pull on being able to bring in a new vendor, a new supplier like us to be able to help them with talent. I'd be focusing on kind of like manager, director, and higher up if possible for your referrals. I'm going to turn it over to Chris. And again, drop any questions you guys have into the webinar chat, and I'll hit those as we go here. Chris, if you want to do, so we're gonna have Chris kind of go through and like we've gotten pretty good at kind of putting on filters in LinkedIn. We're going to be able to do some of this stuff for you guys too, if you want us to kind of be a little more hands-on with you guys. Because you want to show them kind of like how we typically think about mining like a LinkedIn profile to understand like who might be a good fit within your contact base.
Yeah, let me grab the
Cool.
screen. Okay, cool. So typically the way that we run it, or the way that we run it, is through Grady's profile. Reason being, he's the, as he mentioned, founder and CEO of Distributed Labs, and the feedback and response rate that we get from Grady's is pretty high. So if you go the route of a VIP connector, what I do is I take a look at your profile. In this case, for an example, I ran it through mine. So we take a look at your profile through Sales Navigator, pull up your contacts, and chase down the groups and size organizations that Grady was talking about. So the filters look something like this. I was going to do one live for you guys. So again, this is my profile. So 500 plus employees. This would load.
And by the way, you can go with any size company here. You know, if you're going to go through a lot of the effort of trying to make introductions, these bigger companies tend to hire a lot more, which means obviously more people billing for you personally, which means more payout at the end of the day for each one of the ones you do. So like if you're prioritizing, I would probably like prioritize like larger companies and people you know there all the way down to the small ones. That said, we see a lot of companies that are like pretty small that are like rapidly hiring and getting excited about pulling in talent from us. So if you know anybody in that category that like, oh man, these guys are always looking for good talent, like that's a great introduction for us as well.
Yeah, and when we put on these filters for the size of the companies, some smaller companies sneak through that still have needs. But to that point, if there is a smaller organization that has a need, we definitely want to get an introduction. So our main focus is North America, so US and Canada. And then the job functions for the strengths for the people that we have on our platform and the jobs that we fill. So the people in human resources that we want to get in front of, engineering leaders, obviously IT. Sorry, my computer's running a little slow. Marketing, product management, program management, quality assurance, do, and
That looks great.
that's perfect. Okay. So once we capture all those, we go down to the seniority level. So what that looks like is there are senior managers that we can potentially miss and not capture, but really those upper level directors, vice presidents, CXOs.
And all we're trying to do here, folks, is help you if you're going through your LinkedIn on some of the filters you might want to put on to basically build your list of people that might be a great fit here. People outside of these usually work pretty well. I'd say if they're senior folks and kind of outside of these disciplines, like they usually know who's the buyer or who might need help at these organizations, and we love intros to them as well. And I get a lot of you guys might not even have Sales Navigator, totally fine on that. You can do a lot of this stuff just on normal LinkedIn going through, or if you just know people off the top of your head that might be a good fit. We're also going to show you guys at the end here, like we're going to give you the option where like Chris can go do this for you. Like we'll grab your accounts, we'll go through, build a list, and then send them over to you to help you prioritize. Like all you have to do is just let us know kind of after this thing, and we can do a lot of that stuff for you, make it super simple.
And to that point, when this list started, it had 900 plus people in North America at these size companies. And once these filters are put on, we're down to 97. So the best part, if you run it through me and the VIP program, I can pull this data out and kind of make it look neat and tidy and throw it in this sheet like this. So once it hits this stage, this is when we review it with you. I'll also scrub it to make sure people that we may not want to be introduced to are not on this list. And then simply we kind of go through and say, this is someone that I'm comfortable making an introduction to, mark it yes or no, and move on.
Yeah. And then we'll talk about a couple ways to make referrals here. The idea here is just to be able to help you kind of filter on what list might be a good fit for us in general. I'd encourage you guys to grab some time with Chris after this, kind of one-on-one, and he can walk you through the best way to actually make introductions that we've seen be the most successful, essentially. But there's a few ways to do it. So I'm gonna actually kind of show you that as well. Thanks, Chris. Cool. So I think most of you probably have a platform profile set up. And so I want to show you how this kind of like works in the system. It's pretty slick. Like you guys will really like this. So, and then we'll kind of talk about calls to action on how you actually make the referrals coming in. So the system tracks everything for us. So I'm logged in as Kurt, who's one of our connectors. So he's earned almost about 100,000 in BTRST tokens into his wallet. There's two main ways to refer. One, if you go to your earn page, so if you set up an account, go to your earn page, you're each going to get a unique referral link. And you can just take that link and you can share it anywhere. Like we see a lot of people post it on Twitter. We see a lot of people post on LinkedIn. We see a lot of people send it directly. When someone clicks on that link, you'll note they're both the same. It'll ask them basically, are you a talent member? Are you a client? And it'll take them through the sign up flow. And then they'll auto get linked to your account on the back end. So like every person that goes through that and sets up an account, you're going to see it pop up on your profile automatically. So like if you send it to your bud and you're like, did you sign up or not? You can always just go back in here and check it out and see exactly where they're at. It's pretty nice. And there's some nice functionality in here that shows you like makes it very simple to go ahead and take it and post it directly on LinkedIn itself. This is loading, but it will actually go through it. You can do share and post. And then we've got some nice information down here along with FAQs around the program, and then some some interesting stuff that you can pull to, copy the text, throw it into a post, edit it as you want, and good to go. Hit it, post it right out to your network. That'll kind of hit everybody. That's kind of like a generic way to do it. I would encourage you guys to think about who's in your network that you want to go after and make like a personal introduction, give them a call, shoot them a text, say, hey, Braintrust is this cool new thing. You guys should talk to Grady and Chris. Like they're fantastic. They'll tell you all about it. What I recommend is like, you can pitch Braintrust a little bit, but I recommend like just encouraging them to jump on a phone call with us. Like we find that once people meet with us, like they've got a really high likelihood of actually using Braintrust, just because we can walk them through like all the value prop and those type of things. So we can take a lot of that off your plate. Really, you're just making the referrals into us. What's pretty slick after you start getting some of these referrals in is you get notified every single time one of these customers makes a hire. So for this one, Hunt Club's one of the customers that he has referred. They've spent $848,000, which you will see on your profile with Braintrust. And then every time they pay an invoice to one of our talent members, you will get an auto amount of BTRST deposited into your account. How that works is it basically takes the spot price of BTRST for the day, converts that into dollars based on the 2% percentage, and then drops that into your account. You can always withdraw your tokens. They're yours once they become in here. You can pull them out. You can link your external wallet. Again, you can do whatever you want, but you sell them, transfer them, convert them to whatever you'd like. They're completely yours, and you'll get notified every single time they come in. So what we see is a lot of our connectors get really excited about this, right? They'll make 10, 15, 20 introductions. We'll go close half of those over the course of the next few months. And then, you fast forward a few months from that point and you start seeing all these start to come in and they just start to bill and pile up. And all you really had to do was make maybe one conversation and maybe one introduction. And then it's just all automated in the system. Okay. I'm going to do, how do you make referrals? And then we're just going to take some questions here. I know we only have about 5 minutes left. So, how this works, guys, you've got a couple options. One, like I just showed you, grab your link, share it with whoever you like. They'll come into the system. That works pretty well. I'd say for people that are at larger customers or might need more information, which is a lot of people, to be honest, I would say just make a warm introduction right to Chris. Hey, want to introduce my friend, Chris. This is Chris over at Braintrust. Encourage you guys to grab 15 minutes to catch up. We can tell them all about Braintrust, why it's exciting, why it's helpful for them, get them signed up, and then link them to your account as well. So the linking still all works the exact same. Either way you go there. This is more of a little hands-on approach from our side to make these people feel like really welcome coming in to the network. And then lastly, like we were talking about, like Chris is here to help you guys and make your lives easier. He can build lists for you. He'll jump on one-on-one. He'll show you how to make introductions on LinkedIn. If we don't have their emails, that's no problem. And we found a really great way to like really increase the conversion rates of getting those people into Braintrust if you go and meet with Chris. So for that, like you've got Chris's email here. It's on the invite also. Just send him a quick note after the call if you want to link up, probably grab 20 minutes together and we can kind of do a bunch of this stuff on your behalf. If not, no big deal too. And you can just start referring and getting your link all over the internet. And people will start to come in. You'll start to see the BTRST rack up. And then last thing is, it's a little late because I think this is like 9 days from now, but we have been running a competition. We're going to probably run more things like this where we're encouraging people to make referrals into the network. And then on top of all the stuff we just showed you, start to drive some additional value and some different contests going on, which will auto credit your account with like some pretty hefty amounts. So more to come on this stuff. There's a current contest going on. If you make a bunch of referrals right now, you could actually probably win this thing. There's not, I think the winner right now only has a few coming in. So that is that. Let's see what questions. Is it possible to take people off mute? Live questions or feel free to drop them in chat. I see you guys are still here, so you're still listening maybe, so that's great. Claire, are people able to talk? Thanks, Claire. Okay. Oh, there's Rachel. All right.
I just wanted to help you figure out how to get people to be able to talk. So you just have to raise your hand and then you click on them and then they can talk. I don't actually have any questions right now.
Okay, does this all make sense? Yeah, helpful anyway?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Chris and do a one-on-one.
Awesome.
Just figure things out better.
Fantastic. We're in Denver. Did you live, by the way?
I lived just outside of Cherry Creek.
Oh, cool. Nice. I'm in Sunnyside area, like Lohi.
Oh, very cool. Where there's now $1 million homes.
Yeah, for very little house.
Yep. Way to go, Denver.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm glad I bought a while ago. TJ. See you on the screen anyway.
I can talk with Chris later. One
Oh man. TJ, you're cutting out pretty bad.
Refer them through email. I guess same invitation as per LinkedIn format.
Oh, man.
But it's just sending an email and connecting them.
Hey TJ, your sound is cutting out really bad, unfortunately.
Hello?
Yeah, it's really hard to hear you. Do you mind typing your question or snagging some time with Chris? It's really choppy on your end. Anybody else? Questions? Okay. Well, I'm hoping this was helpful, guys. Like I said, ping Chris. We can grab some extra time with you and kind of answer any other specific questions, get you started. We like to make this really simple. on everybody. And like I said, like this is how we grow our network through great people like you guys. And we want you all to like really benefit in the upside of BTRST and earning that along the way here. So let us know if you have any questions, ping Chris, and it was really nice. Thanks to you guys for joining. I appreciate it so much. We'll send out at least the deck after this, maybe a recording too, TBD on that, but for sure the deck. All right, guys. Thanks everybody. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.